So today I welcome Glenn Capelli of Thinking Caps to our adrenaline shot. Good morning to you, Glenn.
Oh, good morning, Dawn.
How are you doing over there? Look, I couldn't help but notice a similarity in our backgrounds, so I just had to say something about that.
I love a reader. I was just checking to see if any of my books are on your shelves. It's
There is one of your books here somewhere, but I think it's down with all of my professional development stuff down the bottom, Glenn.
beautiful. Thank you very much.
So let me do a bit of an intro for you, and then I've got a couple of questions to ask you for today's adrenaline shot. You're the writer and presenter of the award-winning USA cable TV series Born to Learn that aired over 26 million, households. That's a lot of households, and you know what? I have to admit, I've never heard of that program. So we don't get a lot of cable TV here, but I'm guessing that's probably why.
It goes back
Australia's
some time ago too.
Say that again.
Goes back a little time ago too. But a wonderful experience to be able to shoot with Jones Intercable, Mind Extension University, USA.
Okay, fantastic. You're also Australia's Keynote Speaker of the Year, Australia's Educator of the Year. You're a Sir Winston Churchill Fellowship awardee, a member of Mensa, the High IQ Society, speaker, author, radio presenter, and songwriter. And you've presented messages from Beijing to Bollywood, from Washington to Wagga Wagga, from Rio to Richmond. So in 30 countries, Glenn Capelli, you've helped organisations, conferences, communities and schools be better, smarter and wiser. And I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. So what I'm going to do now is start your clock for you. So you're going to get 5 minutes in which to fill our heads with things that we can think about, yes? So you've worked with corporations, Glenn, conferences, CEOs in 30 countries. What would you say is the most important message that you share?
Essentially, it is that thing of being better, smarter, and wiser on a daily basis. And we do that. The model that we teach in is we call Five Alive. So very quickly, giving us adrenaline shot. First layer, your essential essence. What are you about as an organisation? What are you about as a human being? Mm-hmm. Culture and character is the number one. It's the foundation. Secondly, what are your communication? What are the kind of daily conversations you're having? And what we teach is how better, how else, how better, how else, how better, how else. Yeah. Then you look at strategies. And a lot of organisations, first of all, they go to strategy. Strategy only works if you've got good open communication and you've got that essential essence of what you're about flowing in the veins of every human being. Then you get methodology. Too often CEOs think because they've said it, everyone's got it. People learn in different ways. We've got to own it in so many ways. And that's why the physicality, the beauty of something like signing, for example, can allow the body to be able to learn it as well as the heart, as well as the intellect. And then once you've got all of that happening, you have to have the systems running through it to be able to support it. Mm. My key story is in France. They decided they were going to pay firefighters based on the number of fires they put out. Can you spot the potential possibility of error? Systems errors are in what we do.
University for pyromaniacs, perhaps.
You wonder, as bright as we are, we can be so dumb in how we do things. As I say, better, smarter, wiser. Every single one of us can understand ourselves a little bit better and be able to project that a whole stack better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know when I work in, say, coaching, my question that I always ask for is, yeah, but what else? And what else? What haven't you thought about here? Because you're right. We get stuck in that little pattern, don't we? And it's a bit hard to shift ourselves from that. So, to bring other ideas into that or to test ourselves, challenge ourselves to think a little better.
And I mean, we're both lovers of the Kaizen, how better, a little bit better on a daily basis. But along the double helix of thinking is not just how better, but exactly what you said, how else, how else, how else. There's the innovation of thinking coming in. How better, how else? And it doesn't matter whether it's a youngster, how could I do this better, how else could I do this, or an entire community. How better, how else?
Yes. You've just reminded me of a time you came to speak at our tech group. So that tech, for those of you who don't know, is the executive connection. And you had us juggling balls. And I think that was the whole thing, how better, how else? I was a hopeless juggler. But you know what? The kids, didn't they love it?
But juggling is just a metaphor, and how else comes into it? Lumpy pancakes, you make a lot of mistakes. First pancake's always lumpy, keep on there. Practice makes progress. I mean, teaching juggling and learning juggling, it teach us so much. And it is, and also CEOs, they've got to keep a whole lot of balls in the air at any given time and keep themselves alive, keep themselves there as a parent, as a partner, and not just as a leader. CEO, Chief Education Officer in my book.
Absolutely. And I know as part of your toolkit, I remember it really, really well, you've got some Russians that you introduced into the conversation. Tell us about the Russians.
They flow into everything I do, and we call them the good Russians these days. And it started with 3 Russian brothers, and then it grew. And the first 3 Russian brothers, the first Russian brother, his name is Morov. So you look at all the good stuff that you're already doing that you're going to do more of, and it might be a youngster's done something good in an essay and they could do a little bit more of that to make it even a bit better as an essay. Trouble is we do a lot of the more of, but the second Russian brother we need to use equally as well, less of. Sometimes we're far smarter with less. The design of a website is better with less. How to say things with less words. And then accompanying less of, the third Russian brother, rid of. How do we get rid of things? How do we drop? We've got to get rid of cynicism. That's a given. But we're not good at rid of. We're not good at less of. Yeah. David Perkins at the World Thinking Conference, he said, I love your Russians model. He said, but we're good at the more of, we're not good at the others. Yeah. The cousin came in a little bit later, and his name is toss in. So what new things do you toss into the brew to disrupt your patterns, keep on growing? And finally, we've got instead of. And she is the innovative Russian. Sometimes this instead of this can make all the difference. Calling a bar a blueberry bar or calling it a superfood bar instead of can make all the difference. In fact, it doubled the sales and then went on to triple the sales for a particular organisation. So the good Russians, daily use, and it's one of those things that's just applicable in our thinking.
And we've run out of our 5 minutes already. It goes fast, doesn't it? It goes extremely fast. Thank you very, very much. I guess to sum up, we all want to, be better, smarter, wiser. And you've given us some great tips today, Glenn, for how we can do that. And I know that some of the people on my list are hanging out to hear about the Russians because I've been promoting it all week this week on social media. So they're looking out for that. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day.
A pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Glenn.